Very happy to be here. I've been here several times in your absence as teachers, as parents, okay? But I've been here several times working with the teachers. My name is Mike Kipkorir, and the name of our company is Verb Education, like noun, verb, adjective. So that verb, okay? And in our company, we work exclusively with teachers and school administrators. We really focus on that niche of people because we believe they're the people who matter the most in education. So it's not your children who matter the most in education, okay? According to us, it's the teachers and the people who run the schools. And the reason is, many of your children will pass through the school, okay? So you'd want a school that's well equipped and people who really understand what they're doing. Let me try and give you some confidence as to why I am a bit suited to stand in front of you to talk about this. Besides the CBC app and everything, there's quite a bit more. The reason I'm in the education space is I absolutely hated my education. The last part of it, the university part, couldn't stand it at all. I went to a local university here. I'll not mention it in case somebody wants to sue me. Okay. But it starts with a J and it's a long thick road. Okay? Okay. Okay. And the course I was doing was mathematics and computer science. I finished that course and I felt much better ever since. Okay? You know, that experience for me was not good. Not because the mathematics was hard. No. It's because it was absolutely not what I expected. I wanted more. What I was expecting was to go to university, meet up with some people, be taught some interesting concepts, come up with TikTok or Facebook or AliExpress or something, you know, like to do great, wonderful things. But instead, the way we were taught was so unsuitable to us. It was more of lecture notes, and for you to write down the lecture notes and for you to regurgitate it and do it in an exam and move on with life. Okay? I couldn't stand it. So some of you resonate with what I'm saying, isn't it? Yeah? Like, you know, you go to university. Yeah. It was bad, eh? Even when these illegal things students inevitably do, sometimes a paper leaks the night before of the exam. I'm one of those people whom I'll see the exam paper and tomorrow, when it's time to answer it, I'll not know what to write. Like my brain does not function in terms of cramming and remembering things. If I have not understood it, it's very difficult for me to be able to process things, okay? So that's the struggle that I had. For me, I was really into understanding things. But education there was more into, remember, put it on paper, move on. Remember, put it on paper, move on, which is a system, you know. All of us went through one form or the other of it. For me, it did not work. So I hated it so much. By the time I left university, I said, you know what? I'm going to leave this university, and the first thing to do is get rid of all lecturers. What's the solution? Move everything to e-learning so that there's no need for these people to interfere with us. But the more I got into it, the more I realized that it's help that our teachers need, not condemnation from people like me. Okay? Because I was very vocal, like thoroughly vocal. Okay? If YouTube and TikTok were as vibrant as they are now, you'd be seeing me there every day, talking very badly about them. Okay? But I really got to understand the kind of help and assistance that our teachers and schools needed to be able to move things forward. So that's the start of the journey. So it started with me really being critical, then joining them. So as a result of that, I've worked over the years within the Ministry of Education, and I ended up there very accidentally. I ended up there through, there used to be a development partner for government that's based in that's basically the Belgian government was supporting our Ministry of Education when it comes to digitalization in education. Early days, I'm talking about 2006, 7, 8, okay? That far back. So I ended up there accidentally because somebody had me being very critical of teachers, and somebody said, okay, you think you can do it better, kuja basi utuambie. So I ended up being one of the people there trying to work to help make these changes. So I worked quite a lot from within the Ministry of Education, and I really got to understand so many things about how our education is organized and delivered. And since then, I've worked in the education sector quite a lot. Every year, I think I speak to a minimum of 5,000 teachers this way, minimum per year, and so many more through other forums. And so we really get to understand how things work. Virtually every week, I'm in several schools, listening to school owners, such as Anne, listening to teachers, head teachers, and really trying to solve the problems within the school sector. So what I've been doing has morphed over the years in different ways, but very, very steeped in this one sector, which is education, and trying to really understand how it works. So what I'm going to share with you is not only based on the narrow lens of our app, which is a very small app that solves a very specific problem. So the CBC app is for teachers and school administrators, and it helps them with record keeping and reporting. End of story. So it doesn't help with sending homework to parents. It doesn't help with content that the teachers will teach. It doesn't help with all those things. It helps with a very narrow focus. And for good reason. From over the years, we really got to discover that we could make an impact, especially when CBC came along. Okay? Good. So hopefully you feel that I'm a bit suited to discuss this subject with you. I'd want to speak briefly and then really focus on questions. So we hear what different people think about different things, and we do a nice back and forth together. Okay. The first thing I want to address with you is to try and understand if we have a shared understanding of what education is. We know what education is, isn't it? Do you know it? Or it's familiar? It's familiar. When something is familiar, it can embarrass you. Sometimes it's better to just know something or don't know it. Because, you've met somebody, then they know you very well. They're like, you're Mr. Yeah, Mr. Okay, Mr. Masharia. Yeah. So, so somebody comes and says, Mr. Masharia, man, how are you? How have you been doing? I've not seen you in a long time. And Mr. Masharia has to arrange his face to look like he knows me. Okay? And he has to really, really pretend that he is in tune with what I'm saying, isn't it? Yeah? Because he's just familiar with me, Then I have to tell him, where were you? On Wednesday we waited. Now he has to find a story that suits that question, isn't it? Yeah? And just because of that familiarity, we've been in those situations. So education, do you know what it is? Okay? I'm not going to bore you with definitions and stuff like a real education guy. Okay? I'll spare that for another day. Okay? But education, I'd want you as parents to understand it this way. Yeah? Education has three main processes. Three main ones. Any kind of education, not the Kenyan one. Any kind of education. Three main processes. Okay? The first process is a word you've heard before, which is curriculum. Okay? The second one is called pedagogy. I'll come to it. And the third one is called assessment. Don't worry. For those who are taking notes, I'll go over each of these nicely. But education, think of education as just having those three main processes. Okay? So what's curriculum? Competency-based curriculum, isn't it? CBC, yeah? Is an example of them. Competency-based curriculum. Do we know of any other?
Yeah.
Which one?
Cambridge.
Cambridge curriculum. Completed. Cambridge International curriculum. Okay. Another one?
Montessori.
Montessori curriculum. Another one?
Waldorf.
Waldorf curriculum. Good. There are many, isn't it? Yeah, there are many. And I'm happy with the examples you've given, okay? Because even just talk about competency-based curriculum is for which country? Kenya, isn't it? Do you think Tanzania have theirs?
Yeah.
Do you think Iraq have theirs?
Yeah.
They do. Russia,
Yeah.
Albania, Papua New Guinea. Okay? I'm mentioning those weird countries that, you know, you do not think of them when it comes to education. Okay? I would mention the classic Australia, US, England. No. So this curriculum is there. And what's curriculum? When you talk about Montessori curriculum, competency-based in Kenya, curriculum is basically this vision that we have. When we want a kid to come in, what will we do to them until they go out? That's the way we've organized their learning. This is how we want to educate the children, the approach. So curriculum is the main process. You might never use it as a parent directly, but that's what you're subscribing to. So it's very good for you to understand what it is. It's exactly what you're subscribing to. You're subscribing to a curriculum. Okay? The second thing is the pedagogy. Pedagogy. Pedagogy is, number one, neno la kutisha watu. Pedagogy, pedagogical approaches. When you hear your teacher use it, you feel, you know, this teacher is very advanced, isn't it? Yeah? So P-E-D-A, D-A, and then G-O, then G-Y. Pedagogy. Okay? Yeah. That peda word has something to do with children, isn't it? In Latin, some Latin root. Pedagogy is basically the methods of teaching. Okay? How you do the teaching, the methods of teaching. So, for example, you've seen this school is known for what kind of pedagogy? Now that your parents here. It's known for what kind of pedagogical approach, generally? The art, isn't it? It's an art-based pedagogy in this school, isn't it? I can tell who's been attending orientation. Okay? Yeah. This, yeah. Yeah. So this school, for example, is known for an art-based pedagogy, isn't it? So its pedagogical approach, when teaching CRE, we are going to use something related to the arts. When teaching mathematics, we are going to use something related to the arts. What are these arts? Is singing one of them? Is the physical one of them? Is painting one of them? Is, I don't know, what other form of expression is there? Drawing, isn't it? Yeah? All this are it, isn't it? So you wonder, how do you teach Kiswahili using art? What is this art-based pedagogy when teaching Kiswahili? Is it necessary ama tunasumbuana bure? What is the problem with you when you're trying to use jumping and skipping to teach aina za wanyama in Kiswahili, isn't it? Yeah? So it is an approach. That's what pedagogy is. The pedagogy is how it is done. What I hated in university was the pedagogy, not the curriculum, isn't it? Yeah. What I could not stand was somebody coming to teach me how to do C++ programming by reading me code this way. It's the pedagogical approach that I violently disagreed with. Okay? Completely could not agree. What I would have preferred, if you're teaching me C++ programming, is for you to give me a project and say, I would like you to create a system that will check the parents who've come in and those ones who are going out, so that we know who stayed the longest. Okay? And who left early. You see? So you create a system like that. So if now we can use this programming to create such a system, I would have really appreciated if that kind of pedagogy was used. Are you getting the point, sort of? With pedagogy, it's the method of teaching. And finally, the third process is assessment. Okay? The third process is assessment. Assessment is the same as testing, right? It's the same?
Yes.
We agree? Okay. So we all went for COVID. We all did a COVID what? A COVID test. So who here went for a COVID assessment? Who did a COVID assessment? Yeah. COVID test, COVID assessment, apana, isn't it? Now, they are related, okay, to be fair. Sometimes you can substitute these words easily. A test is a very specific instrument, okay? Like for example, can you say, you know, nilitoka nje, nika stretch hivi kidogo, nikaona, ai, hii ni COVID. Is that a COVID test? Is it a valid COVID test? It's not, isn't it? What is a valid COVID test? Somebody pokes your nose with something, comes out with something, goes into a lab, does some things, brings the results when they're wearing a mask. Sindio? That's a valid COVID test. But going outside, stretching, you know, that's not a test. So a test has like some kind of a formal process to it. Okay? There's some kind of formality to it. There's some kind of agreed upon process. Like how many got COVID tested in Nairobi, for example? Show of hands. Okay, a few people. How many got COVID tested in another place apart from Nairobi? Again, some hands are there, isn't it? So what does that mean? It was a COVID test in Nanyuki. It was a COVID test in Migori. It was a COVID test in Nairobi. Sindio? So the test is some kind of a standardized fixed way. So test and assessment are a bit, different. So a test is part of an assessment. Is some kind of an assessment. Okay. So assessment is the third process. I'm going too deep and maybe unnecessarily here. When it comes to that third process of education, assessment is that third process of education. And assessment is quite literally gathering evidence of whether this person has learned. And it can be done in so many ways, including the testing. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, if I'm assuming many of us did 844 or were in the 844 system, okay? I'm really highlighting this because you might find us as people who were maybe mainly in the 844 system to be very, very steeped in the significance of the test and of written tests. So that if you're told we assessed your child and this came, you're like, no, now, education these days, it's not really serious. Sindio? Because for you, seriousness is what? Silence na kuandika. Sindio? That's what seriousness is. Yeah? But somebody just observing and filling in something called a rubric or an observation schedule and discussing the thing with you, for you, you're like, apana. These people are not serious. Okay? They've just not used the assessment tool that you prefer, which is the test. Sindio? But we've agreed. None of you did a COVID assessment. You all did COVID tests. So you see, a test is just a very specific tool. Yeah? So now the reason I'm bringing these things up, it will come together, is I want you to understand education from the perspective of those three things. The curriculum, which is how we want to organize the learning. The pedagogy, which is how we want to teach. And the assessment. So by now you know there are many ways of assessing, isn't it? You also know that there are many pedagogical approaches. For example, let me just focus a bit on pedagogy. There are pedagogical approaches that are very suited to the young children. And those ones that are better suited to the older ones, isn't it? Yeah. Then curriculum. There are many ways to organize this. Now we've agreed. Have you ever met a person from another country who is educated? Walipitia CBC? Walipitia 844? They did not. But you agree they're educated. You yourself, have you ever gone to another country and you found that you can actually cope in this other country? You can drive like other people. You can ask for directions. You can even go to their school na ushinde watu. Sindio? So you found that out also. Was your curriculum inferior to theirs? It was not, isn't it? Yeah. So the next thing I want to sort of highlight when it now comes to this is, as I'm talking about the different systems and everything, you'll realize that it's either the curriculum I'm referring to, or a pedagogical approach I'm referring to, or an assessment approach that I'm referring to. That's why I really wanted to highlight that clearly enough for us to be able to progress with this conversation forward, so that we disentangle things and we do not work by rules of thumb. So rules of thumb are things like, unajua siku hizi Nova walianzisha Cambridge, then automatically we believe all those children there are going to be amazing and they'll end up straight in heaven automatically, isn't it? Because somebody alianzisha nini? Cambridge. Sindio? I'm just using them as an example. Okay? I'm not saying they'll go to heaven. Okay? I don't have the sina Kenya of knowing who will go. Okay? Yeah. So I'm just using that as an example there, so that we don't really operate with the rules of thumb. So there's a very famous gentleman. I really enjoy some of his books. He wrote a book called The Element, and I think that one in particular. He passed away several years ago. His name is Sir Ken Robinson. I really like his approach. If you Google him, if you try and find him on YouTube, he's a very interesting guy to listen to, very fun to listen to. And I really liked a particular statement he made about the purpose of education. So we now sort of know what education is. So what's the purpose of this education? What's the purpose? And he gave about 4 purposes of education. The first purpose that he gave was that education's main purpose is economic. I think we agree on that one, isn't it? The reason you're sacrificing bringing your children here, hurting yourself economically, is for an economic purpose down the road, isn't it? You're trying to increase this child's probability of what kind of success? Economic success, isn't it? You're trying to increase the probability of your child's economic success. So the first purpose of education is economic. Okay? Second purpose is cultural. You need to understand different places, the way the world works, the way the world has been, the way the world is going. Okay? Second purpose of education is cultural. Third purpose of education that he gave is social. The third purpose of education is social. You want somebody who, at the very least, might be can live harmoniously with people. Okay, at the very least, can ask for things from the world around him or her to be able to survive and move forward, isn't it? As a good bonus, convince somebody to settle together to bring up the next generation, isn't it? Yeah. So social is the third purpose of education, and the fourth purpose of education is personal. This one needs a bit of explaining. He said that the fourth purpose of education is that it should be personal. What does that mean? It must work for the individual. We're very different in our outlook. We're very different in our feelings. We're very different in the way we see things, digest things, etc. So education must be personal as well. The reason I bring this up is I feel that if we understand that as the purpose of education, you'll realize that the Russian guy, the Albanian guy, the Papua New Guinea person, the Australian, the Finnish, the Kenyan, the Ugandan, the Gabonian, etc. You realize that these purposes, are they the same for everybody? They are, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are. And therefore, you can apply this curriculum, this pedagogical approach, this assessment way, and it still comes out to fulfill it, isn't it? Yeah, so if we agree that that's the purpose, those 4 purposes of education, why then do we have all these different reasons for why we come to, for why we go to different schools? Schools now are the places through which we get access to this education, the various schools. So you as a parent, there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you subscribed to the Marifa approach. For me, for example, my top vision, and even the reason I'm in the education space, is I normally say, I want the nearest school to be the best school. So the nearest school to where I live to be the best school. So not the most expensive one at all, far from it, okay? But I want the nearest to be the best school. That's why we are trying to work hard to empower each and every school so that hopefully the one that's nearest to you can be the best. Some of you here are living my dream, literally, okay? Because this school is the nearest, okay? And it is the best, okay? So that's really the goal. For me at least, the nearest school is the best school. Now, these 4 purposes of education get achieved in the school you choose. And in the school you choose, they run different systems. And I'd want us to just compare and contrast the different systems from across the world. Which one is the best? Which is the best education system in the world? Which one? The one we have in Kenya. Okay, that's one very good answer. Anyone with a different opinion?
They say
Finland. They say Finland. Yeah. Okay. Any other? Apprenticeship. Okay. No. Now let's say. Okay. As applied where? Let's say as applied in which place?
Place like a region.
Yes.
From a place like
Yes. Okay. So what you've said, so when I say school system here, let me now specifically, now that we are very advanced education people, I can say the curriculum system, okay? Yeah. So apprenticeship is it a curriculum or it's more of a pedagogical approach? It's more of an approach of training. You just come and stay close to me, see what I'm doing, I'll give you some small tasks. Over time you'll get better and better, isn't it? Yep. So which other one? So Finland, Kenya, China. Tuseme ingine? Okay. So those are the top 3, isn't it? Those are the top 3 based on this very comprehensive survey we've done. Yeah. 11. In which country? In Uganda. Okay, fine. Uganda is in the mix also. So now, I think the best education system. So these education systems are different. Like now, why Finland, for example?
First, the kids start, I think, at 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
They start so delayed. Going to school. And what they say is first they start with building their social skills.
They start with building their social skills?
Before they start their academic.
Okay.
Literacy, learning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of outdoor, early days. They leave school early. A lot of hands-on learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outdoor hands-on etc.
Yes.
That makes it the best based on the different surveys done.
I'll go with China because the level of creativity for small children, even as adults, can't get there. So that's why I support China.
That's on evidence from TikTok.
Yes.
Even YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They really create things from very small age, such that you ask yourself, how comes myself I cannot even think of creating such a thing at such a young age?
All right. Okay. Now, the reason, sorry. The reason I'm bringing this up, I'll put this here to give the next person. Yeah. The reason I'm bringing this up, I want us to compare and contrast some of these systems of education and to see what makes the other one best, what makes the other one good. Just as an exercise. Okay. So let's start with China. China is a highly centralized education system. By centralized, I mean turn left is dictated, turn right is dictated, jump how high is dictated. Okay? Highly centralized, highly controlled education system. It has very high stakes exams. I think they called it the Gaobao or something like that. I'm not sure about the name, but they are very high stakes exams. You pass that one, your chances are better. You fail it, you go to the basement. Okay? So very highly centralized, very dictated in terms of how it goes. Let's contrast it with Finland. Finland, it is so unbelievably autonomous in terms of what the teacher is allowed to do. The teacher is very, very free. So they work with a framework, a curriculum framework, but then the teacher, on a day-to-day basis, sort of has a lot of autonomy to decide about what to do. Okay? Kenya. I want to come to Kenya last because of something very unique. And Kenya, you mean 844 CBC? 844. Now let's talk about 844 before CBC. Let's talk about 844. 844 in Kenya mirrors quite a lot what they have in countries like Britain, okay, where it's very standards based. There are standards that are set. We really define what is needed at every point, and we have very clear academic standards for what is
but also the
required.
content you teach is wide.
Exactly. So there's the aspect of the content also, which is the subjects. Let's explore that. So what do we teach which is wide? So the languages. So we teach maths, English, Kiswahili. Let me go the classical way. What else?
You teach
Science.
sciences, all sciences. We teach arts, including
Arts.
geography and history about,
Mm-hmm.
and you teach home economics and
Yes.
arts and crafts.
All those
and
things. So the width and breadth of it.
You'll find yourself somewhere.
Good. Good. So you feel that the most important part is the content as well, apart from the standards and everything. Do you think they do the same in China?
I doubt they do the same in China, but I think everyone is being asked to do STEM so that we conquer America in China, I feel.
Yeah. Okay. No, they actually have literally the same content-wise. Content-wise, I have not found a country which is different. Content-wise, everyone is more or less doing the same thing, and we more or less organize it the same way.
The States?
More or less. Now, even the States. Now, what maybe you're talking about is maybe the depth of the content at different levels. But if it's science, we teach science. If it is history, we teach history. If it's geography, if it's, as you said, home economics and all those things, literally across every country, we are teaching it in one form or the other. Okay, but we'll go into it. So I want to come to Kenya CBC last. So China, very heavy on standard and on centralization. It's highly centralized. Finland, not as centralized. They just have a curriculum framework. India, does anyone know anything about India? India has a bit of a hybrid where it's dictated nationally, but at the state level, there's also quite a lot of centralization at the state level also. So they have the national level general direction, but also it's dictated heavily at state level. A very unique thing about India is right from the beginning, they really focus on the state language and the local language. Very heavy on that. Whereas you find, for example, Waldorf. Let me use Waldorf as a system. If I'm not wrong, they introduce 2 foreign languages right from grade 1, isn't it? So, for example, French and Kiswahili. Okay, so Kiswahili being foreign to them at this point. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but they introduced 2 foreign languages at that point. The Indians, in the early years, absolutely nothing to do with foreign languages. They focus a lot on their local, isn't it? And they have that 2 levels of centralization also. The US also have the district-driven standards, which is within the various districts and some states as well. Okay, and then they also have just general guidelines nationally. So in a way, almost can be interpreted to look similar. Another country, Iran. I've actually looked at Iran also. Okay, then they focus on Persian, which is the language in the early years, and then they move on to Arabic. Okay, so Persian is not Arabic, so Arabic comes in later, and then things like English, etc. The reason you see me talking more about the languages is we have aspects of mathematics, of science, of history, of geography in virtually every curriculum across the world. And the key differences tend to revolve around how we treat language initially. For example, in CBC, how many languages do we have? How many languages do we have available formally?
2.
Which one?
English, Swahili.
Now, shock on you, KICD also has Arabic. Okay, it's a very big deal for some people. French, big, recognized very strongly in our curriculum. German, okay, very strongly recognized in our curriculum. Mandarin, very strongly recognized in our curriculum. And the one that should be done, and I hate it that we don't do it at all, is indigenous languages. Okay, those 7 languages is the category of content in our schools that is most, that features the most. Even the sciences, we don't have 7 of them. Okay? Languages in Kenya, we have 7 of them. Because language is such a powerful tool in terms of moving things forward. The good thing is that we sort of are on the right side of history. We sort of won with English. Okay? That what I'm saying is a bit pointless right now and trying to convince you otherwise. Okay? So we are sort of on the right side of history. We sort of won by doing English. Like whatever, force them into, wale wakuje, as in it's not us to go. So, you're sort of lucky in that regard. But language is a big deal. That issue of centralized versus non-centralized education is a big deal. That thing of standards, having standards, clearly defined standards for each level and for what each teacher must do, is also a big difference in the different education systems in the country, in the world. There are these ones we've not talked about. These ones we focus on quite a lot in Kenya. The British system, is it Cambridge? British system, is it Cambridge? Yes? No? There? There are 2.
That I have known of.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Cambridge International, and then there's the
Pearson.
local one.
Uh-huh.
No, the one they do.
Okay, internal, yeah? Okay, fine. We've heard of British system, isn't it?
Yeah.
When somebody says, nitampeleka mtoto wangu Cambridge, somebody says, naona umeamua British system, isn't it? Is that correct?
No.
Not sure. This idea?
Sure. It's a curriculum.
Huh?
It's a curriculum.
Okay. Now, this is why I'm bringing this up. There are certain education systems which are, I can generalize them and call them passport systems. Like, give me your passport right now. You don't have it, isn't it? It is not necessary for you to walk around with it when you're here in Kenya, isn't it? But try going to China. What do they need? Passport. There are passport education systems. I'm sorry to call them that. Passport education systems. Cambridge, International Baccalaureate, Pearson. I'm just talking about the ones that are common in Kenya here. The way they are created is they are created for maximum portability when it comes to transition to universities anywhere in the world or in many places in the world. Okay? That's the main reason for their existence. They interface well. If you have your IGCSEs, which is Cambridge, and you show up in America, they'll recognize you as educated. If you show up in Australia, they'll recognize you as educated. If you show up in Uganda, they'll recognize you as educated. So that's the main appeal of such an education system. The portability at the tail end. Then there are national education systems. National education systems. I talked about the one from Iran, isn't it? Where the focus is on Persian, and then they come later to Arabic and English, then they teach all these other things, then they split you. Though you go to the vocational direction, you go to the academic direction and you find your way into the job market or the system. China, also, same thing. You have the early years, primary, secondary, you again pick whichever track that you're picking later and you exit. India, same thing. State language, local language, transition later into the rest of the education. Again, pick a vocational path or an academic path or a general path and exit the system. Those are national systems. Even the one we have in Kenya, it's a national system. Cambridge is what I'm calling a passport kind of a system, where the goal is to interface well with other places elsewhere. Yeah? How easy is it for you to take your KCSE certificate to, let me use a common country like Australia? Okay, is it accepted? To some extent, isn't it? What affects whether it's accepted or not? An English test. Now, you've brought in another dimension. That one is more of an acceptance test, isn't it? It's more of an, they say, so to them they say, unasema umesoma, and you're okay, but see if you can answer these things for us. There's the SAT in the US also, isn't it? So even in the US itself, as we say, districts, states run different education systems. But for you to enter Stanford and Yale and everything, you have to go through the SAT, isn't it? If you're interested in interfacing with that kind of university, you have to go through that type of assessment called the SAT, which is now, the SAT is now used to interface. For English, for language, there's TOEFL and I think there's ACT and all sorts of things. I'm not very sure about. Yeah.
GMAT.
GMAT, yes. There are so many of these interfacing things. So those ones are not really part of the education system like that, but those ones are used to interface. The English test, as you said, etc. Back to my question. If you have a KCSE certificate, how easy is it for you to walk into a university in Australia? Okay. How easy is it for you to go to Kenyatta University? Very easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
They'll say, umesema uko na B biology. You know, we accept you, isn't it? You go to Australia and you say, I have a B in biology. Watakuuliza what exactly was in this biology that you studied, isn't it? They'd want to know more. That's why, have you heard in Kenya something called KNQA, Kenya National Qualifications Authority? There's a whole qualifications thing, okay? And their job is to help with that kind of translation of qualifications. But a big thing, whether we like it or not, a big thing dictating whether the system of education you're in matters or not is reputation. A very big factor. If your country has a very good reputation, chances are, wherever you go, you will be accepted. I'll give you an example. Whenever we have, like, how many of us have tried going to a country like the US? Or I've never tried myself. But let's say you've tried the US, England, whatever it is. What do you have to do? Ukiwa hapa. What do you have to do? Yeah? Apply for a visa. Now that process of applying for a visa, how does it look like? It's thorough. Is it thorough or it's borderline humiliating? Huh? Because you really have to prove, isn't it, that you are look, I'm just a normal guy, you know, I'm just a parent, I bring my kids to Marifa, I'll come back, don't worry, my children are here, you know, you have to say so many things to them just to convince them that you're okay, isn't it? Do we do the same for Americans coming here? No, isn't it? If anything, we dance for them at the airport, we do all, all these crazy things, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah? Who dances for you when you land in Atlanta? Who? Immigration dances for you. Okay. Now, I'm trying to make a point here about reputation. So, I'm trying to make a point here about reputation. If your education system has a good reputation, chances are it gets widely accepted across the board. And my contention is, whatever difficulties we are facing with CBC is down to reputation and very little else. The reputation challenges that we're having with CBC stem from the fact that we are starting grade 9 next year. Or let me even go back to the one for grade 7. Huh? We're starting grade 7. It's October. Government itself cannot decide. Will grade 7 be based in primary schools or it will be based in secondary? Now, people can't deal with that level of uncertainty. So somebody says, you know what? Toa watoto, tuwapeleke wapi? Cambridge. Because Cambridge, they know what they're doing. They're not changing the things every day, isn't it? CBC tell you, in January 2024, there's a subject called agriculture and nutrition. We got rid of home science, which was there in 2023. And we created something new called agriculture and nutrition. I'm like, why? You know? They're like, it's rationalization, blah, 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 blah. And like, okay. 2025, they're like, okay, forget about your story, agriculture and nutrition. Let's just say agriculture. We stick with agriculture only. What's your story and nutrition? And you know, what happened? You know? They got rid of so many things in the name of rationalization. Now, this rationalization, the original design of CBC pre-2023, according to me, spot on, amazing. And I'm coming back to really highlight CBC with, I said we wait about CBC first, you know, and the ingredients it has. This rationalization exercise that they did in the beginning of last year, in my opinion, as people who are in a private school such as Marifa, it shouldn't worry you as much because this rationalization exercise was done to get away from some responsibilities. Let me explain. We are supposed to have built computer labs in public schools and offered computer studies in detail, when we have a very solid curriculum around it. But we look at, so that means 2024, tunafaa kutenga for for the computer labs. They're like, you know what? This will be too expensive. We can't make it, isn't it? We are supposed to have home science, you know, very practical things, very detailed things. People are supposed to do very practical things. It's expensive getting all these resources. And we said we're offering education for free, isn't it? So you know what? You know, we're supposed to offer physical education. We're supposed to offer visual arts. We're supposed to offer performing arts. Which are the things we're supposed to offer? Let's say those ones. Visual, performing arts, physical education. That means 3 different teachers times 33,000 schools serving a few million students. And like, fanya hivi, you know, so unaweza fanya yote, you know. So you do visual, whatever. We'll remove those things. We create a learning area called creative arts, and we give you everything. We're fine, unaweza, you know. So that's what we do, and we get away from that responsibility. That for me is the reason for the rationalization exercise. There'll be many other explanations, but to me I feel that's the main reason. But those things did not go away. They were just reorganized differently within the curriculum. A lot of those aspects are there in the curriculum. CBC, the design of CBC, according to me, is amazing. It has very many aspects of international baccalaureate curriculum, IB. And the idea in that curriculum, for example, is a lot of framework approach, meaning we have a general direction in which we are going, and we tend to allow autonomy within the schools a bit, and we tend to work with the strengths of every learner as we go in that direction. It has very many aspects of Cambridge. For example, scaffolding. Scaffolding is supporting, huh? Okay? Scaffolding, supporting. There are very many aspects of scaffolding. If you look at what we call the curriculum designs, which is what is used to publish textbooks and what is used by teachers to inform how they're teaching, they're very guided. They're very guided and supported in terms of the direction they're supposed to go. That idea is very Cambridge in nature. In fact, squeezy topic ni strand, isn't it? Is topic the same as strand? It is the same. Atujui? Okay, that's safe now to say that. Okay. If I'm telling you something very uncomfortable, you'll tell me, please change the topic. Umezidi sana, tafadhali, change the. Have you ever, in the history of an argument with somebody, said, please, let's change the strand? Have you ever said that? So topic is not necessarily the same as strand. You can think of topic as strand. Okay, strand. What's strand? Strand is like something longish, isn't it? Something you follow. That concept of strands is very well communicated in Cambridge. If you study the Cambridge curriculum and look at it, the concept of strands is communicated. Simplest way to understand is this. First topic in grade 1 mathematics is called numbers. First topic in grade 2 mathematics is called numbers. First topic in grade 3 mathematics is called
Numbers.
Second topic in grade 1 mathematics is called measurement. Second topic in grade 2 is called
Measurement.
third topic in grade 3 is called. You're sort of getting the point.
Yeah.
We have this concept of numbers that we're doing in grade 1, kisha tuifanye in grade, and then in grade, you understand?
Yeah.
And we build upon it. Some people call it spiral learning. Okay? So it depends. The same idea. So the whole idea of strands and everything, we borrowed very heavily from Cambridge. We borrowed quite a lot from Montessori, which, by the way, I said passport systems, I said national systems. There's a third one I forgot. There are some systems of education which can be full systems by themselves, like Montessori, like Waldorf. Okay? There is one by the French called Frenet, F-R-E-N-E-I-T, Frenet. Some guy called Celestin Frenet came up with a system of education. It's used in France, Belgium, countries like those. You see, Montessori, Waldorf, Frenet, those ones, you'll find that the students go through a Montessori school, but at some point, they have to find their way to either a national curriculum or to an international curriculum in order to interface with the universities. Okay? It happens a lot, especially Montessori, Waldorf, French. In some cases, Montessori can go all the way, but there are very few such schools. Okay? Now, the third one, I know I'm throwing in a lot of complexity. I am aware. Okay? We'll address it. I talked about national systems. I talked about the passport systems. This other third category, which is Montessori, Waldorf, etc. Those ones to me are more of pedagogical movements. By now you know what pedagogy is. So they're more of pedagogical movements. They're more of a way in which we do the teaching and a way in which we do the delivery. So you find CBC borrows a lot from these pedagogical movements, like Waldorf, like Montessori. Whatever is being done in this school, for example, I normally consider this school the gold standard when it comes to that interpretation in the early years of really how to use the activity-based learning, hands-on learning, and really focusing on the child. I really think this school interprets that really well and does it well. A big part of that is a function of teacher training, not following the curriculum. A big part of it is teacher training so that the teacher can interpret the curriculum at a more advanced level. Yeah. So CBC, I feel, has a lot of those nuances. It has the part of the content really well, and I have to focus on the content, which seems to be a big deal, according to you, a very big deal. Do you know how many subject combinations exist when a learner is entering grade 9?
I know there's a whole big pie chart.
Yes. No, now the pie chart just says STEM, arts, or humanities. Hapo ndani, how many subject combinations exist? I can, by subject combination, say I can take physics, chemistry, biology. I can take physics, agriculture, computer. I can take welding. Okay? I know you don't want to hear welding. It's an amazing area. Okay? Welding, computer, home science, aviation, French, English literature. English literature, Kiswahili fasihi, French. Okay? How many subject combinations? Guess how many? Throw a rough number. There are 538 options available for the children entering grade 9. Okay? So the sheer breadth, content-wise, is, according to me, unrivaled, depending on the schools that you end up. So that's why you look at the selection process now, it's a bit of a headache.
Exactly, because why giving me 500 when I started with what, 7?
Good. No, you wouldn't pick all the 500.
No, why give me a
That-
choice of 500? Why give me such a large
Big choice.
connotation when what I start with as a root is so narrow,
No, what you started with as a route is foundational.
but it's still narrow.
Then, now based on your interests, you'll now pick only 3. So the decision that an individual has when it comes to going into grade 9 is actually selecting 3 subjects only. That's the main decision.
So what happens to your math, English, Kiswahili if you don't choose the subjects?
No, they're there. So we have 4 that you have to do. Then your job is just to choose 3, an additional 3. Yeah. By the way, we'll still address this. Do we find the process of getting into grade 9 confusing?
We've not even started.
You've not even bothered to look.
They make you confused.
You're more confused.
Anything can happen.
Anything. It might change also. Okay, there's that danger, honestly, with our people. Like our people give us that tumbojoto of deciding things every time. Okay, but it's honestly, you already understand it. Let me tell you why. In 844, when you finish class 8, you go to Form 1. So what do you normally do hapo katikati? For you to go to Form 1, what are you supposed to do? You choose a school, isn't it? When you are in Form 2 going into Form 3, what do you normally do? You choose some subjects, isn't it? When you're going into Form 3. So that you end up with a total of how many? 7, 8, depending, isn't it? Now, we're just doing these things at the same time. You're choosing the school and the subjects at the same time. At the end of grade 9. End of story. Honestly, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as I am going to choose which school I want to go to and these 3 subjects to focus on top of the 4 compulsory ones that are there. I promise you that's the extent of the decision. It's not wider than that. We have recategorized schools. Before we had national schools, provincial, and you know what, 844 ile proper. Okay? Okay? Now, in the more recent times, 2015 AD, okay, it became national schools, extra county. That's 2015 AD. So, if nyinyi wa BC bado mko national, provincial, etc. No problem. It's still okay. The idea is the same. So now we've gone into category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. Category 1, if you blink and open your eyes, it's national schools. Okay? We've just said category 1 now and expanded the definition of a category 1 school just a bit more. So we accommodate just a bit more schools into that category. Okay? Same thing with category 2. Category 2, blink, open your eyes, it really looks like extra county schools or provincial schools. Okay? So the more things change, the more they remain the same. Okay? The more things change, the more they remain the same. Like very little is really changing and evolving. So don't worry about that point of grade 9 entering 10. Very little has changed. We participated in it exhaustively this year. We even developed some data visualizations to help people to calm down when it comes to this and choices and all those things. The people who are also funding this are funding it to create a narrative which is non-existent. Because I promise you, nothing much has changed in education from the time you're in school up to now. Even going further back, there's a lady called Dorothy Sayers. Dorothy Sayers, like say, S-E-Y, then E-R, Sayers. She made a speech in 1947. And I had this accidentally. Okay, I was listening to a whole bunch of other things, then I had that speech, totally accidentally, by Dorothy Sayers. And it was 1997, a long time ago. You imagine everything was in black and white, isn't it? Yeah? Even I'm talking to you now, everything would be in black and white. This way, 1947. Was a long time ago. Guess what she was complaining about in 1947? She was saying that education siku hizi tumepotea sana. It's very dilute, sio kama zamani. Okay? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay? Now, and what's her evidence? She was complaining that when I look around and see the adults here, I find that an adult, a full adult, cannot form and make a good argument. Does that sound familiar? An adult cannot distinguish between a fact and an opinion. Does that sound familiar? Okay? An adult cannot define things properly. Does that sound familiar? It does, isn't it? Like a lot of the things she was raising as the problem, it's literally what's happening in 2025. And she was raising that in 1947. Okay? And what's her solution? Guess what her solution is? Her solution was that we need to go back to the tools of education. That's even the title of her speech, the tools of education, which were used during the medieval times. Okay? That's her solution in 1947. That we go back to 5th to 15th century. I think medieval times was around that time. Okay? And we go back to the tools of education back then. Now, I am not about to lose you, sir, in terms of where I'm going with this conversation. I'm not about to lose you because you have been participants in medieval education. Let me tell you how. In the medieval education, they had broken down education into like 3 based on the stages of the children. So they had a stage called the grammar stage or the parrot stage. What does a parrot do? Repeat, isn't it? What do your young children enjoy doing? Repeating, isn't it? And parroting it out, isn't it? They thoroughly enjoy repetition, isn't it? It would be very okay if I came here and said, what is this? Microphone. Everybody, if I talk like this, you'll throw me away as adults. But for the people in the parrot stage, repetition is not only good for them, they enjoy it. It's actually the only way in which they learn, isn't it? Then you move to what she was calling the dialectic or the Paul Parrot stage. So dialectic is somebody just wants to know why. Okay? Now, think of an 8-year-old to an 11-year-old. If you give an 8-year-old to an 11-year-old the reason for something, most of the time they'll be content. And they actually want you to stop there. For example, they say, why does that car have round wheels? And I can give an answer. Like I'll say, round is the best shape to enable it to move forward. And an 8 to an 11-year-old will say, sawa. Okay? Or, why did this bad thing happen? You know? Then you say it was God's will. An 8 to 11-year-old will most likely say, it's okay. But they'll ask why, isn't it? Your 4 to 7-year-old, will they ask why? Not necessarily, isn't it?
Yeah.
But your 8 to 11-year-old, they'll want to sort of know why. And they're content when you tell them the reason why, isn't it? Now try the rhetoric stage, which is a teenager, basically. Okay? Moving forward. Is why enough? Is why enough? No, isn't it? Exactly. They'd also want to find out for themselves, isn't it? There is the why, and there is the why not. There is the how. Isn't it? A teenager will want to find out. So during the medieval times, they basically structured education around that. The parrot stage, the dialectic stage, and what they called the, forgetting the name again. I just said it. The rhetoric stage. Okay? They basically structured education into that. Now in 1947, Dorothy is saying, can we please stop teaching subjects for the sake of teaching subjects? Can we stop saying my child really knows maths? Okay? My child really knows history. Stop teaching subjects for the sake of subjects. Let's go back to the purpose of education. Okay? And her purpose is education should be a tool. Education should foster adaptability. How many of you here are doing work in an area you studied? Doctor? What line?
I did computer science.
Computer science? And you're sort of in the field?
Yes.
Good. For you? For? Fraud. You studied fraud. Okay, accounting. Okay. Pharmacy. So you're sort of in the field, isn't it? For you? Engineering, and you're sort of in the field as well. Okay. For you? Social work, and you're sort of in the field. So, who here wonders how they ended up where they are? Okay. What is your testimony?
Sorry, I have a bad call.
It's okay. Yeah.
For me, at home there were only 3 professions that were to be done. Either you do medicine, you do maths courses, or you study law.
Yeah.
I looked at the first 2 and they were not for me. So I found myself in the legal profession, though I didn't want to be there.
So what are you doing now?
I'm in the legal profession.
Okay. Now, I mean somebody worse than her, where you studied, at least, you're sort of, like your education is not a waste, so to speak.
I studied IT.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an auditor.
You're an auditor. Okay.
I studied social work, but I've been accountant.
You see? Okay. Are you seeing where I'm going?
Yeah.
Now, are they educated or not?
They're educated.
They are, isn't it?
Yes.
Was the point the social work? Was the point the IT? That was not the point. The point was the capacity to be able to do whatever needs to be done, isn't it? Have you heard of this profession called, or this kind of work called prompt engineering? Prompt engineering. It's related to AI, isn't it? It's related to AI. Was prompt engineering a thing in 2021? It was not, but it's a whole thing now, isn't it? Will prompt engineering be a thing in 2028? Maybe not. Okay? Maybe not also. Yeah? So who is this prompt engineer? Alizaliwa wapi, alisomea wapi? Prompt engineer. Okay? You're sort of seeing my point, huh?
Yeah.
The point behind education is to give that adaptability and the maximum compatibility going forward. Okay? I sort of want to pause there for the sake of questions, but I want to summarize it this way. I wanted you to have an idea about education and those 3 things that form education: pedagogy, curriculum, assessment. I wanted us to sort of look into different education systems and how they're organized in different ways. And I wanted us to focus on the school that you are in and what it's offering and how it relates to something else. Is whatever is outside there better than what you have? What's the point of it? And I wanted us to sort of reach that agreement that the purpose of education is, what I was telling you, Ken Robinson said, economic, cultural, social, personal, and more importantly also adaptability, that you can actually function in any kind of world that you're put in going forward, which I think is what we are trying to do for our children today. Okay, so I sort of wanted us to take that direction, and I wanted us to sort of just generally talk that way. So through your questions now, we can explore more. So questions, opinions, etc., that we can all react to as parents, especially what you feel brought you here. I wanted to just give that broad kind of base in terms of where the discussion could go. Same thing with integration of technology and all that. We integrate it in different ways and all that. Final thing, there's something in human beings that is very hard to change, which is a belief. As human beings, we have beliefs. And a belief that a human being has, it's very, very hard to change. And a belief that a human being has, like somebody might believe in that whole, let me use now the example of what we've discussed today. Somebody might believe in this whole passport education systems, like Cambridge. You absolutely cannot tell them anything about a national education system. Somebody else might be very nationalist in the approach and also believe very strongly in content or in the pedagogical approaches or in assessment and in testing and all that. That again is a belief of an individual. And let me again quote another person whose work we actually base quite a lot of what we do on. There's a certain professor, his name is, I think, John Hattie. He studied over 800 academic papers to try and prove that which is the thing in education that matters the most. What is this one thing that you can do in education that matters the most? So he created a system where he would weigh the effect of these things. And guess what he found? Virtually everything you do has a positive effect in education. Virtually everything you do. I'll give some nuance to that. But basically, if you build a classroom, you've helped. If you coach your child, if you get your child a tutor, it can help. If you give your child homework, it can help. If you take your child on trips to different places, it can help. If you give exams and tests, it can help. If you give feedback, it can. Literally everything we do in the name of education has a positive effect. But then some things have more effects than others. Some things have higher effects than others. The thing that has the highest effect, the things with the highest effect, I brought my laptop to show you that, but I'm talking to you here now. But the thing with the highest effect, it revolves around feedback. Just giving feedback. Very high effect. Just giving feedback to your children. The effects rank way up there. Let me actually open it and I tell you some of those. Okay, it will open during the Q&A, I'll show you. But giving feedback, teacher effectiveness, way up there. Way up there. An effective teacher versus a teacher who is not effective, the effect doesn't date, it's very different. Negative things, guess which one is among them? There are very few which are on the back. Testing actually is among the positive effects, but not as that much. Okay, one of the things that has a negative effect is holiday. You see what we're approaching right now? October 22nd to January, did you what? That one scientifically has a negative effect on numeracy and literacy. Scientifically studied by that guy. I know, sounds counterintuitive, isn't it? But holiday is one of the things that has a negative effect. Okay. The other thing that has a negative effect is, of course, things like TV. Okay, too much TV and screen. Now he did the analysis in the era of TV. I know, Squeezy. TV is one of the things we do. You know, other things, phone, internet, etc. But he analyzed TV as one of the things as well that has. Then, of course, there are those other things which maybe as Kenyans we may disagree. He said, for example, corporal punishment has a negative effect. But I don't know, we as Kenyans, you know, we you know, I don't know, maybe that was for children of another type. Okay, but maybe the types we have might need that. But anyway, let me stop there. Your questions will give them us the ability to ask more. So if there's another microphone somewhere, we can pass it around. Yeah. So just questions so that we can lengthen this discussion. I don't know how much more time do we have on? It's 11:30. 30 minutes? Okay. Maswali, opinions? Yeah, there's a question there.
With the CBC, do you see a gradual introduction of AI? We all know that AI is impacting every area of life as we speak and as we live in our time. So have you seen any sort of leaning towards AI and the teaching of AI to students at a very early level, a very starting level of education?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Teaching of AI, literally, no. Use and application of AI, yes. How would you teach AI, especially at an early level? Let me give you the example I do. I have a 7-year-old, and usually in the evenings you have to tell the children some story. Okay, so for me, I decided, let me teach him AI, but I'll teach him in a way that really resonates with him. So I'm trying to teach him how to prompt. So AI is about the prompts you give. It's about what you ask it and the quality of how you ask it. So he's very interested in cars. So I tell him, okay, so he says, I want to know like Ferrari, about Ferrari and everything. So I tell it, okay, let's ask Gemini. So I've installed the Gemini app. This ChatGPT also, Gemini, etc. So we ask Gemini, and he can ask audio, using audio. So he says, tell me about Ferrari. Then he'll be told a rambling, complicated thing. Then he'll stare at me and say, what does he say? And I'll tell him, no, ask it, tell him, I'm 7 years old. Okay? I want to know about cars. I want to know when the color, when it was made, whatever he thinks is suitable. So he tells the AI back. Then the AI starts understanding, okay, this kid is 7. Then it starts telling him things. Then I've noticed that with time, he starts changing his approach. Whenever he's not understanding something, he like starts saying, tell it to me slowly, or tell it to me, like break it down, break it down this way and use this, kind of thing. Then I try to teach it to say, give it an example. So he can explain and say, for example, this and that. And you notice the AI sort of does it. Now for me, I'm teaching him prompting. For him, he's learning about Ferrari. But for me, I'm teaching him prompting. That's exactly what prompt engineering is about. It's about being able to talk to it and, more importantly, give it examples. AI works well. So I've not seen cases where we are integrating it, but I think our teachers are using, like in this school, I am aware, they're using AI to inform their practice. The children, it now depends on how we create those opportunities for them to be able to do it. Now, I also wouldn't teach AI as a subject called AI. It can be very good for attracting people, but I would teach it in a broader sense. So maybe I would call it AI also, maybe, but still teach it in a broader sense, in a more foundational sense. There are some schools that teach coding as an extra subject. There are some schools that teach computer. In fact, Cambridge, I feel obliged to mention Cambridge a lot because many people are attracted to it. Cambridge have 2 of them. You find them, they have digital literacy and they have the computer studies. Digital literacy is very, very basic. Literacy, basically. The computer studies is more, it gets somebody along that path. Yeah. So I've not seen it, but what I would now say is I would encourage the school, like you may, in your case now, you would encourage the school, like how can we teach our children about AI? Latest, I don't know if you guys have heard of Nano Banana. Nano Banana by Gemini. It's a type of AI that can generate images. If we do something right now together, it's hilarious. Okay? Now, again, with the same boy, we've been doing Nano Banana created things. So you can take a picture, like you can say, create for me a picture that looks like this, in a way that only a 7-year-old child can do. Like he asked for a picture, which even Nano Banana said, hey, he said, give me a picture with sticks that have filled the whole world. Exactly. You see the Yeah, ilifanya the same thing. Because it was like, now, okay, how now? Like we do a round world, then we put sticks. So it ended up just creating something that looks like a virus, just a round thing with just many things protruding out of it, and say this is just sticks from the whole world. So I would teach prompting that way. So like now for me, I was trying to teach him the concept of image generation. Something else we did this week actually. So they were asked to do a science project at home. And like any good CBC teacher, you normally make sure the parent at 8 p.m. finds out what they're supposed to have done by morning, okay? So we found out they were supposed to have done some kind of a science project. So now him, because he's into cars, we just got a box, we put some wheels into it, not functional at all. We took a picture, nano banana, then we said, so what do you want? So we'll put a spoiler, put exhausts, put this, good. Then we downloaded that image, we re-uploaded it again into the same AI, Gemini, and we used a tool called VEO, V-E-O, it's in Gemini, and we asked it to make a video of that truck in an off-road place, Boom, downloaded the video, tumia mwalimu. STEM or not STEM project, okay? Because, that was the goal, I told create a STEM project for this. To me, I decided let's integrate it that way, okay? So I think there's so many opportunities which can be done right now, and I think it's a function of how as a school we can maybe expose ourselves to determine how we can use that, how we can guide how it can be used at home, and things like those. Because really, the way we'll make the breakthrough is not the formal teaching of it here. Where we'll make the breakthrough is in making it a natural language. Like I'm trying my best to make prompting natural language for him to sort of have that prompt literacy. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So you would advocate for us as parents to
most definitely.
get it into a day-to-day, not
Most
only for the government.
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Mm. Yeah.
Where is the balance of using AI and helping the children develop their critical thinking and their creativity, considering that now it's codes that are doing that? Then, what was the second one?
Yeah, that's... So let me go back in time a bit. Do you remember the time when maybe you're in high school? How many of you used log tables in high school? Okay, good. Do you know that you are among the lucky ones? There's a time when you introduce log tables, people say, "Tumaribu watoto," spoiling these people by introducing log tables, isn't it? You are supposed to find log base 10 of whatever yourself, isn't it? Not use a log table. A log table was seen as cheating and sacrilege of the highest order. Calculator. How many of you were unfortunate not to meet a calculator in school? Okay. There are those people who never met a calculator in school because a calculator was considered cheating and wrong and impossible. What's wrong with you? You don't know the square root of 3087. So you're realizing where I'm going with this answer. Okay? It's the same thing happening all over again. It was log tables, it's a calculator, it was the internet. Okay? Like when you just Google something, like people these days, people should read, read library, read Google, but we are beyond, as in like if you go to a library, people ask you, are you okay? Isn't it? Yeah? So, same thing with AI also. We are hitting that point. Now, this is the idea. The idea, in terms of how we educate our children, is to educate them about what has been abstracted. What has been simplified for them. What exactly have we simplified? You'll find that the process of generating the knowledge might be necessary in some fields. It might not be necessary in other fields. For example, the branch of mathematics I did. What's 1 plus 1? What's 2 plus 2? Good. What is plus? It's addition. Yeah, fine. Prove it to me.
1 plus 1.
Now, as I said, when I left the university, I felt much better ever since. Okay? It's because when you, as in what I was studying, it was a branch of mathematics called pure mathematics. you'd be told one, sawa. That one is a type of number, which again is called an integer, which is part of a real number, which is part of, let me not go there, we just know it's one. Sindio? Then you go to plus. What is plus? And we have to prove what is plus. And we have to do calculations of like 7 pages until you say, you see, plus. Okay? Now, is that necessary for you to know? According to somebody else, why are you abstracting everything to just plus? Because 1 plus 1 is abstract. It's not real. I've just given you a rule of thumb. That ukiona hii, na uone hii, na uweke kitu inakaa hivi in the middle, you say 2. But to somebody else, they say hii kitu ni nini? Where has it come from? It's abstract and we need to find out. And we need to prove that it is the thing. Okay? Now, the point I'm making is we need to decide what level of abstraction is necessary and is relevant. To what extent do we want to remove somebody from looking for information or being able to do something? Yeah. So like washing machine. Some of us have washing machines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who here has ever said, "Sitaki kununua washing machine, so and so will be lazy"? Unajijua kama uko hapa. Sindio? You know yourself if you're here. Yeah? You decided that so and so will be lazy if you buy a washing machine. But come on, Is it really a must to really do this to every shirt and to every jeans and to every bedsheet? Is it really a must? It's not, isn't it? Yeah, so that's what I mean. We have to decide what level of abstraction is necessary, and I really cannot prescribe about where. It really is going to depend. Yeah. So the degree to which technology is used and integrated, some people consider it too much. Same thing with screen time. Same thing. How many of you are hearing now about cappuccino assassino, tralero, tralala? You're hearing those things in your house. Sindio? Na wanakutananga huko, Roblox, isn't it? Now, somebody might say these children are very spoiled. What is this they're doing? They'll get spoiled and everything. Personally, my view, to a degree, isn't it unbelievable how these people are socially connecting? Like I remember during this holiday, my son was telling me, look at, this is my friend, this is so and so, And then they're together, they're out there, they're hanging out and assassinating people in that cappuccino thing, and doing their own things there. Now, to me, I was seeing the social side, the social skills being developed and all those things. Then even they talk to each other there. You can see somebody talking to somebody. Then you see somebody saying, don't tell him your real name, Like you can see a lot of good things. Now, to me, somebody might say no screens. Wataharibika. To me, based on the way they were using the screen, based on what I saw, it was just fine. It's also possible for them to use the screen in a way that wataharibika, isn't it? So at the end of the day, let's not look for maybe a one-size-fits-all or a rule of thumb. Let's just go case by case. What am I seeing before me? Is it working? Is it okay? Do I believe in it? Is it fine? Can I defend it? And we move on. At least that's how I see it. Yep. There's a question there. Microphone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
My great talk, actually, it's something that I've never really looked deeply into. And thank you for giving that knowledge, at least on a good Saturday. We all want to wind up, and today at least we have gained some knowledge apart from just eating junk food and having a good time. So my question was on sports as an educational tool. Maybe what are your thoughts when it comes to integrating sports as an educational tool?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Personally, I went to the university to play football. The other things were by the way. Okay? But I'm saying that because I was really obsessed and focused on the sports side. Sports develops things in people that are unbelievable. Social skills, problem-solving skills, leadership, being able to work, being planning, strategy. Sports are a discipline. You see the way we're talking about adaptability? Nothing builds adaptability better than sport. Because in sport, conditions change every day, depending on the circumstance, the opponent, and all those, the complexity, and all those things. Sports, I think, to me, if I was to pick the single most powerful medium, I'd pick sports, followed by debate. Those two as very powerful mediums for children to be capable of doing things. I really encourage it. In CBC, when they transition to grade 10 onwards, senior secondary, there's a pathway called sports something, isn't it? How many of you want how many of you want your children to join there? Sports, the sports pathway in CBC. You do, isn't it? Now, those of you who might not want your children to join it, is you don't want them to join sports because ni michezo. Sindio? Bear with me. If you translate it to local language, okay? My friend Paris there, she's a parent here as well. I've known her for a while. We both speak a certain language, where sports, if you just frame it, if you say it, it's tangoita. Tangoita it does not translate to English and Kiswahili properly for you to understand. Tangoita ni michezo, you know, like a not michezo in like a nice way, you know. It's like a mixture of mchezo na ujinga. I don't know how that word like translates well. Now, if you tell somebody that I want my child to do sports, and like tangoita, yeah, you know, like that direction. So it depends on how it's hitting you. I just want to remind you that pathway is not called sports pathway. It's called the sports science pathway. Okay? The science matters more than the sport there. It's called the sports science pathway. Many parents are just looking at it as sports. It's a sports science pathway. In that sports science pathway, you remember the 538 subjects I said? There's a percentage inside the sports there. I forget the exact number. But in the sports science pathway, you can do even computer science inside there. You can do computer science, biology, and sports something. I'm forgetting the name of the subject. What can that make you? Can it make you a doctor? It can, isn't it? Easily. Can it make you an analyst? It can. Yes, a team manager. It can make you any of those other things that you'd want to study in hardcore STEM. You still can achieve them via the sports science pathway. So, let me just go back to your direct answer. Sports as a tool, unbelievable, honestly, according to me. I've seen it work. Personally, for me, in the absence of sports, education would not have worked. But sports has really, really helped in terms of getting things done. So I would encourage children to do sports, not with the aim of being professional necessarily. The minority will be. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't participate. Let them participate to the extent that they can. And in there are going to be so many things that our children are going to learn. Yeah. And schools, programs, parents who integrate sports, it's good. And don't forget play in the early years. So sometimes you want a 6-year-old Messi. Okay? You know, bado. Ngoja kidogo. So, if the 6-year-old Messi is ready, wacha akuje tu peke yake. But if the 6-year-old Messi is not there, you know, don't tell him, I'm wasting my money in this academy and, blah, blah, blah. You can nurture, isn't it? Then make sure, you might get a 14-year-old Messi. Okay? Somebody else will get a 6-year-old Messi. So there's also play in the early years, which is the foundation for sports. And by the way, which sport is the best? Good. All of them. So, and you'll find the most athletic of children. Netball. Okay. And the most athletic of children you'll find can actually do everything. You think of your days in school. The guy who was really good in basketball, was very decent in rugby, was very decent in high jump, and athletics and all those things. It's more of athletic ability that we need to focus on. And then as they grow older, it now gets into the mind. It now becomes all those things I said, the decision making, etc. Sports is a huge area.
Yes. Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. And yeah, thank you very much, Bill. The CBC app is actually something that is huge, and we would like to commend you to keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And then now my question is out of huge curiosity. I find myself also just in the same bucket whereby whatever I studied is not what I'm doing right now. And I found myself in your space. I did economics, finance, huge, deeply. Found myself in ed tech, and actually now doing fin ed. So we are building. So I'm just curious, we as parents, how can we, because the world is changing. I'm a friend of the World Economic Forum, where they always discuss about the future work. And you just talk about prompt in engineering not being available maybe in 2028 or don't know, something like that. So how do we create this balance? Stuff is changing so that when we're nurturing our young ones, they can become as future learners. But now how can they be future wonderful human beings? At the same time, grounded in what Marifa is standing for, empathy, creativity, being good human beings in all these, gondram and all these noise. I don't know how can I put it. Yeah. So that I had that lot of questions, but that is one question that I've tried to summarize it. I think the other question I'll look for you behind the tent.
So
thank you.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, I think the only behind they've made is that one. This one, then I was like, oh, do it. Behind, yeah, behind will be there. So it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're spot on. About our ambitions and everything, and I think it's what we've discussed also here. Focus back on the purpose of education. Economic, cultural, social, personal. It should work for the person, and also. The main thing then that a school should give us and how we are educating is adaptability. Simply because we literally have no idea how these things are going to evolve. But there are some principles that will never change. I gave you the medieval example, the Dorothy Sayers example, where in 1947 she wanted to go back to 5th century. And what we were doing in 5th century, we are still doing up to now. The principles remain the same. We think very highly of ourselves, rightfully so, but we were not anything more special than the guys in 5th century. To them, you guys studied Mesopotamia, an invention of the wheel, isn't it? Yeah. The wheel was AI back then, okay? It was like a big deal. In the same way right now, I remember Google absolutely blowing my mind. I actually could not believe that you can search and it comes out like that. Literally could not believe. I think I first saw it in 1999 or 2000, somewhere there. To me it was magical at the time. Mobile phones, and mobile money and all those things, okay, were a big deal. In the same way AI is a big deal now. 20 years from now, people will be looking at you very weirdly if you're over celebrating AI, isn't it? And prompt engineering, telling people stories that there's a money when I used to prompt, which now sounds very advanced. So I think adaptability is the main thing. Yeah, there's a question on this end.
Afternoon, everyone. Mine is not really a question, but it's something which I've observed and maybe you could support me in. I don't know why, but there's something about we people who did computer science and IT. Like for me personally, I don't support children of a certain age using computers. And I'll tell you why. Computers are more of cars. In as much as we use cars, we have a reason why there's a certain age limit for someone to start driving or to have the car on the road. Our kids are very smart. So if you give them the power of the computer, which has no borders, that's why now we have a generational problem whereby kids get into a place, the technology behind takes over and knows what you call What came up with the prompting is actually the ability of studying someone's character. What time they log in the region, what questions they type in, and all that. Most of us parents know this game called Roblox. My kids love it and everything. But that is the new tool that pedophiles use, unfortunately. So for as much as we want our kids to get into this technology, let us also have the impetus of following up them, whatever they're doing. Secondly, I did computer science. Luckily, where I studied it, which is in South Africa, the first thing that they did is they taught me algorithm and logic. This really helped me because by the time I was graduating, Facebook was not there, WhatsApp was not there, all these things are not there. But the basement that they gave me have made me able to internalize it and be able to move with the movements. For example, how many people now use LinkedIn?
Yeah, many of us.
In the next 3 to 10 years, our kids not need to type in a CV. And I'll tell you why. He's developed from birth, your kid's data is taken in. When you go back to the pediatrician, every time, they put the records where? In a computer. When your kid starts going to school, from grade 1 to whatever grade they're going to, their marks, they're registered in a certain platform. When they go to the university, the course they take is determined by whatever's in the platform. So all the employer needs to do is to prompt. I need a kid, male or female, who had this while growing up, who did maybe arts or music. That's it. So then what does it do? It gives you everything that you need. This week, I did something. I took my CV, restructured it, and put it in Copilot by Microsoft. The next thing, it told me if I want to start my own company, what I should look for, and the regions, and what I should put. It also told me all the companies in Nairobi recruiting based on what I have. So what am I getting at? We as parents, let us challenge ourselves. Let us get into that AI. Let us understand what it requires of us. Then only when we understand it, that's when we let it go down to our kids. Otherwise, we'll end up losing very fundamental stages. Right now, we have parents who are trying to fight their kids out of things which I've never heard of, diabetes, depression, and all that. Why? It is because of that screen which entrusted into them. We are losing family time. Why? Because that phone that you have is your partner once you get into the house, having your dinner and going to sleep. So we don't know what our kids are doing. Our kids at this age, they need that tender love and care. They need to be with us. And for me, I see no harm going with my kids for a nature trail to Karura Forest, going for them cycling, because that builds their character. And once you formed your kids' character, the other things will flow very easily because they'll know what they want at a particular time. And I've even noticed people like Bill Gates and all those people, their kids don't want smartphones. It's because they knew the power of those tools. And once you don't do that, then you're doomed to fail. Another thing is, let us encourage our kids to be problem solvers. We all do the same set of education, but why the other countries beat us is where we trust in the paperwork and everything, but are not to solve even the most basic of tasks by ourselves. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you so much. I think you've touched on two things there. safeguarding generally in its broadest sense. And the guardrails you need to put in place, and understanding the potential risks that everything has, and everything that we need to do as parents. So as we said earlier, that responsibility for you as a parent is very much alive, especially when it comes to using all these things. It's the same way you wouldn't allow them maybe to walk to the road, or you wouldn't allow them out of the gate, or you wouldn't allow them to go and roam in a mall by themselves, you know. Just the normal safeguards we do, I think it's the same for the digital world as well. It's good for you to have a good understanding of what's going on. And you can have a good understanding by just finding out what do you do, how does it go. There are basic questions that can help you understand the field. You don't need to be an expert in playing Roblox for you to understand how it works. Then the other thing you've touched on also is beliefs. Every one individual has beliefs, and beliefs can be very hard to change for an individual. And what one person upholds, the other person might see in a different way. So again, different parents and different people will have different belief systems in terms of how to go about it as well. So yeah, but very good points. I really like the safeguarding highlights you made as well. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question
Yes.
about, you started by telling us you work with teachers.
Yes.
So I see you've done your bit until grade 12, and you've worked maybe in government to streamline CBE.
Yeah.
What are we doing about university
Good question.
as a government?
Very good question.
Because if I'm going to choose a combination of sports, welding, and computer science, whether I go to TVET, whether I go to the Polytech, whether I go to university, how do I stream to that?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I can paraphrase. Okay. So what are we doing about universities? I've chosen all these things in
First,
high school.
before we even
Just
go
ask
to-
now,
okay, sorry.
loudly, then they can
Before
hear.
we even get to university,
Yeah.
we all bring our children to private schools, and then when we're done with grade 8, standard 8, the equivalent of which I don't know right now, we all want to go to
Public.
to Alliance
Yes.
at the public schools.
Yes.
So what are we doing as government and as parents to make sure that Marifa will get me to grade 12 with the facilities that I would find in Alliance, if I don't want to go to boarding school.
Yeah.
And then after that, what are we doing?
If you visited high schools lately, before 2025, you would notice some impossible populations in some schools.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You go to a dormitory and it looks like a tunnel.
Yeah.
Because the beds are joined together, you know, there's no space, you know. This looks like a tunnel there. That is a direct consequence of free primary education by Kibaki and all the other policies since that led to so many people entering the high school. And it reached a point where the facilities are not sufficient. If you look at the number of secondary schools versus the number of primary schools, we have roughly 35,000. I'm saying roughly because there are so many unregistered as well. And 23,000 is public, I think, the rest private. In the high school side, the number of private secondary schools dropped very sharply in the 2010s. Okay? Then it's starting to rise again. There are what? There are very few. I'm not sure about the number, but about 4,000 thereabouts. Private. Now, what you'll notice will happen now with the advent of grade 10, senior secondary, which is just 3 years. You'll notice very many more will mushroom. Because as a parent, you'll say, nimekuwa Marifa for 10. I've been in Marifa up to 9, so there's just 10, 11, 12. What's the need of hauling this person all the way to Kakamega, you know, to like do that last bit there? And Kakamega might not be offering this aviation I want. And maybe there'll be Marifa Senior School somewhere, you know, that does the job. So more and more private schools will mushroom. But currently we have that problem. Now, why I started by saying how many have visited high schools now, you'll realize in 2026 the problem is starting to reverse. They've not had a Form 1 class. So the population which was really strained in the school is sort of lessened a bit. There's a better distribution over it. So it's getting better. There's been a huge constraint on the resources. It's getting a bit better. The new classification of schools from national, provincial has come with certain requirements. And very many high schools are reorganizing.
Private or public?
Public.
Okay.
And private as well. All of them are reorganized. Because we're in a centralized system, whatever public do, private must do. But private tends to implement more than public because of where the money comes from. So they're doing so many things to improve the processes, the way the teaching is done and all those things. And with public, we still have the strain of teacher training and bringing the teachers up to that capacity, which to be fair is a problem we also have in private. But private schools tend to be more proactive with that problem. There's a school system somewhere up China who have up to high school who called us for the same thing, to try and like help them to structure the senior school. And they wanted to decide which subjects should we choose to offer so that we can advertise and attract people based on those ones. Because you can't offer all of them. There are 39 subjects in total, which if you combine, you can end up with 538 combinations. But there are 39 subjects in total. So they wanted to know which ones should we offer, because that affects staffing. How many members of staff should we hire? Can this person cover this other thing and that other thing? So there's quite a lot going in right now. There's quite a lot happening. There's quite a lot being done. Officially on paper, the direction is clear. Practically, in terms of how it's done, it's now going to be school by school. So you'll now find the reason why Alliance is talked about that way, 100% reputation. It's just about reputation. And out of nowhere, you can find some schools emerging. Like I remember during my time, out of nowhere, a school called Friends School Kamsinga emerged. The only thing that changed was they had a new head teacher. That's all that changed. Suddenly we are talking about other schools in this new era, isn't it? And it's all about what the individuals go there and what they do for those schools and how they fix it.
So the reality is, for a bit of time, you're going to feed our children's results into this database.
Yeah.
They're going to end up needing to do some combination, and then they'll be transported to another one because there's no capacity anywhere, private or otherwise, to do the combination that the system said was best for them.
No, it's there. The capacity is very much in existence.
Without me going to Marala.
Yeah. Oh, okay. By the way, did you know? Guess which county has very few national schools? Nairobi. Okay.
Yeah.
Very few national schools. So I know. I see where you're going.
It's not bad to go to Marala.
Yes. Yeah.
But if I'm the only one in Marala doing wealthy.
Yeah.
Why
I know. Now you're right. As far as the urban areas, especially Nairobi has that deficiency in terms of category 1 schools. It's not as high as other schools. I actually have those stats here. I'd like to be able to read them to you in terms of which county has the highest number.
So in a way, we are also being herded towards out of Nairobi.
There we go. Now that is the whole idea behind a national education system.
Fine. It's just good to be prepared.
Yeah. Now you see, a national education system now will deal with you in line with the national priorities. You're going to be looked at as an entity. Now, if you now want that individualized thing, that's now when people create the private schools. And that's what I'm saying. Grade 10 schools, grade 10 to 12, there are going to be so many coming up. You will, yeah. Kuna pressure ya senior school hapa. Yeah. So there's going to be a mushrooming number of senior schools, according to me, just based on the subject combinations being offered and all that, and because of that reality that you're saying.
And the government is preparing, is equipping, is teaching our teachers to teach.
Quite a lot is happening, honestly. Quite a lot.
And as a parent, where do I find this information?
Yeah.
Good question. I'll give you. I don't know where. That's a short answer. But let me highlight to you how much I don't know where. In January of last year, on December 20th, 2023, Ministry issued a circular that we saw on Facebook that we are going to change the subjects by the time we're opening on January 8th, 2024. January 8th, 2024 came. We are waiting, we see nothing. We go to the KICD website, we see some changes. We download the documents that are there, they've changed some, they've left others. Then they took the website down. Okay? This one I have screenshots. Because our life depends on that website and everything there. We waited. Things became clear on 17th February. Halfway into term 1. That's when they now introduced agriculture and nutrition and all those things. And they didn't even give a circular. They didn't like notify people. Just one day, we noticed they're there. Now we have to scramble to make sure that Marifa is now teaching in line with the curriculum. So we have to scramble, get all this data, redo everything in our system to make sure it's ready. October, the same year, they went and changed things also and didn't say a single thing. So you go to a school, you are there, and then you're told, you guys are not delivering the curriculum that it's supposed to be. You're like, how come? We changed everything in January. They're like, look. Then we look, it's true. When was the change made? You follow, you hear from the grapevine, October is when the change happened. So you're forced again. So there's that very poverty of communication. Even why Gen Zs wanted to finish people in the last few years is, a big part of it is that communication about getting this information. But to me, the bottom line is this. The kids will transition to grade 10 and the principles remain the same. Select the school. The school will matter. Aim for the Alliance, aim for whichever, aim for Marifa Senior School, aim for all the schools. The school will matter, and then now the subject combinations being offered there. Yeah. So it's remained the same. In the same way you knew, I want to go to Maranda, I want to go to Asumbi, I want to go to Garabatula, I want to go where? The same things we had back then will still apply now. Because that school, like Mango used to be known for aviation, isn't it? It's very likely they're offering aviation up to now. Okay? And it's a thing. So it's the same principles that we've used in the past still apply up to now. The same reason somebody would take their child to a private secondary school. Like somebody maybe cannot stomach the idea of boarding. A category 1 school must be a boarding school. Fact. Yeah. For you to qualify to be category 1, must be boarding. Okay? So it depends. So you will not get Alliance if you want day in Alliance. Okay, there's some exceptions.
I'll get highway.
You could get highway, which I don't know what category it is in. So category 4 is all day schools. And then they don't teach all 3 pathways. They teach 2 of the 3.
They're pathways.
So either STEM pathway, the sciences, then the social sciences side, which has everything, literature is in the ATC. Then there is the sports science pathway. So you could find the reason why a category 4 school will not teach the sports pathway is maybe they don't have facilities to do sports properly. So that's even why they're a category 4 school. Yeah, so there's so many details into it. Yeah, I'm sorry as parents that with respect to information coming from ministry, but I want to tell you very little has changed from what you already know. Very little has changed. The principles more or less remain the same. We're still choosing subjects, we're still choosing schools. Very little has changed. Our website is cbcapp.co.ke. cbcapp.co.ke. Don't go to it now. But if you go to the blog section, you'll listen, we've written some things there. One of them is a school selection when it comes to senior school, and I just want to open it. We tried our best to really simplify and digest the information so that it's easy for you to see. So now, the first thing we've said there is you need to begin with the end in mind. It's there. When you go there, you'll see. What's the end in mind? The end in mind means how will the timetable look like in senior school? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing every day, isn't it? So whatever is on the timetable. So the timetable will have 4 compulsory subjects, 3 optional. The compulsory ones, English, Kiswahili or sign language, community service learning, physical education. However, what I have there is now wrong. So, we are supposed to update it. They made some changes, kidogo. So, there's that elementary mathematics as you said.
Oh, it's back.
It's back, good. Yeah. And there's advanced mathematics also. there. But so we will actually update this particular thing. So some changes have been made. But your choice is, what you're going to do is just select 3 subjects. You don't have anything to do with the other 4 compulsory ones. Okay? You'll just select the 3. Then, the pathways. I wouldn't focus on the pathways as such. I would just know the pathways generally. So generally, there's the arts and sports science track, okay, which is divided into there's arts as a track and sports science. Arts has a total of 52 subject combinations. Inside arts alone, you can combine subjects, about 52 of them. Sports science has 30 of them. So arts and sports science together has 83 subject combinations, potential subject combinations you could have. Social sciences has humanities and business, and then language and literature. Humanities and business has about 117 subject combinations. Language and literature has 84. Okay? Total coming to about 201 for social sciences. Different subject combinations you can have. STEM, which has applied sciences, pure sciences, technical. Applied sciences has 89 combinations, pure sciences 47 combinations, technical has the most, 115 combinations. So STEM in total 251 possible subject combinations. So the total is not 538 as I said earlier, it's 534. So now let me give you an example of a subject combination. In the arts, let's say the sports track, you can pick advanced mathematics, general science, sports and recreation. Okay? You can pick advanced mathematics as a subject, general science as a subject, sports and recreation as a subject. That puts you in what we call the arts and sports science pathway, specifically the sports science track. If you pick a combination like agriculture, home science, power mechanics, where does that put you? Yeah? Agriculture, home science, power mechanics. What are you? Which pathway? Huh? That one is applied sciences, which is part of the STEM pathway, but applied sciences track. If you pick aviation, geography, and media technology, what's that? STEM, yes. Which one? Applied, technical, or pure? It's more technical, isn't it? So that's aviation, geography, media, technology. All these subjects exist. So, all of them. But now it depends on the school that you're aiming for. Some schools might not have media technology. Some schools might not have building and construction. Some schools might not have computer studies. Yeah. If you pick, let me give you another combination here. If you pick Arabic, fine arts, theater and film. Al Jazeera. But Arabic is a very big deal in this country. It's a very big deal in this country. If you pick Arabic, fine arts, theater and film, that puts you in the arts, but in the arts and sports science pathway. So that's what I mean by subject combinations. You understand? That's what I mean. So all these things, you can pick CRE, geography, history. That's just the classic 844 combination, isn't it? Yeah? Hiyo tu ni straight KU. Hakuna pale pengine. Sindio? Yeah. Okay, you can pick computer studies, fasihi ya Kiswahili, indigenous language. Bado KU? Okay. So, now, available schools. There is category 1 schools all the way to category 4. Category 1 is all boarding with the option for day. Okay? With the option for day. But day is just what they put on the footnote. Okay? But it's all boarding. How many schools are there? Which are category 1? Guess? 4 schools? How many? 20? 30? 255. 255 schools, which accounts for 3% of the total secondary schools. 255 schools. How many are category 2? Category 2 are, again, boarding with an option for day. There are 711 of them. They account for 7%. So if your child ends up in a category 1 or a category 2 schools, They're in the 10%. Only 10% of schools are in that category. Category 1 or category 2. Okay? Category 3 can offer at least 2 pathways. So those category 1 and category 2 must offer all 3 pathways: STEM, applied, STEM, social studies, forgetting these names, social sciences, arts and sports science. They must offer all 3. Yeah? So category 3 offer at least 2 day or boarding, and there are about 1,379 of them, 14%. And then finally category 4 also must offer at least 2 pathways. These are day schools. They account for 76% of the schools we have. Okay? So in all probability, the majority, far the majority, are in day secondary schools. So you wanting Alliance and the rest, that's a very small minority of the school. Yeah, of the schools. Okay? Yeah, then the selection process is more or less what I told you earlier in terms of how the learners will select. But to me, this information should just tell you one thing. Just focus on the school you want your child to go to and which subjects they offer. Okay? Just aim at that. The school you want them to go to and the subjects they offer, and then you apply based on that. And the probability of your child going to a school they've selected is higher because you choose per category and you choose a certain number of schools per that category. So select many schools that could offer what your child wants. If you're really serious about aviation, look for the 6 schools that do aviation. Put them in your category 1 selection. And the chances of your child ending up there are high. Yeah. So it's just that. Now the question of where do we get the information about which school offers what is an exercise which government itself in July of this year was pushing secondary schools to submit. It's information that is still out there. We hopefully might get that information. Okay?